Hey guys, and welcome back to my Let's Play of LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga. In this episode, we're going to be doing free play mode for 2 levels of Empire Strikes Back. We have Escape from Echo Base and Falcon Flight. Now, we are going to be going back in time a bit. So I said in the very first free play episode, way back in negotiations, that I did do Falcon Flight first, just so I could get the score multiplier by 4. So that's the footage you're going to be seeing, so there'll be no multiplier. Some things won't be there that are here now. So it will look all... It might look a bit weird. that's all I'll say. It just looks... It will just be there's a few things that will be like, oh, where did they go? I mean, that door exists only for studs and that's it. Why couldn't that door open before? That's my thing. It's like, why do we need to blow up this door? Oh, sorry, no, it is it's still R2. What R2Q5? So, Escape from Echo Base. This took me so many tries because there kept on being one mini kit that I would miss, but it would be a different mini kit every time. It's like, how do you do that? It's only me. Only me could possibly do that. Just miss a different mini kit each time. And there's one particular section of this level that can be quite annoying. Thankfully it didn't take too long for me to do, but it is quite annoying. But it's not until towards the end of the level. But the door is stalled. Just let me out. How did the stormtroopers get in if the door is frozen? See, that's 60,000 plot holes right there. Because it's been a year and people still can't shut the hell up over a film. Yes, it's a film. It was made with a camera. It has these things called actors. And they're still trying to take Mark Hamill out of context. He loved the film. I repeat, he loved the film, and I find this really odd right here. You can go back through here. But then the cutscene and we're back in there again. Because of the cutscene. I mean, in LEGO Star Wars 2, it also did this, but it did it the moment you turned the thing, so you would follow that cart as it goes around this room before it reaches the other track. It doesn't do that here. You can leave the room, but it will then send you back in again. So this is a room that you can go into in story mode, but you can't really do anything in it, because you need the bounty hunter. And then what it does is... You have to activate all 3 of these things. The thing is, you can still destroy it, and it will still make the ice stall. So am I right to assume that these skulls are backwards? Because otherwise... No, it's not. It just magically forms a face. Where did that face come from? And they will take their heads off. How am I building? I'm defying gravity. Most of the other things I build, you know, the way we build them makes sense, but not the skeletons. No, we just completely defy the laws of physics. But this is a series where everybody is capable of breathing in space, so, you know, if we were to go by the laws of physics, nobody should have been able to stand in the Death Star's hanging bay. But no, nobody cares about that. But God forbid Leia breathes in space. Hey, you can't come with me. Anyway, it's quite a lot of mini kits in this room. And because of all the objects falling down, you can get a bit slow down here. Now you could build that cart that I struggled to get 3PO on, or you could just push the block a bit and then jump on it like that. Don't need to worry about pushing any of these into the fans because we don't have 3PO with us anymore. Well, we can do, but why would you do that? So you can just have 3PO. So you can just have you just jump up towards the door. Sorry guys to disturb your fishing. Surprised this guy didn't fish out the mini kit that's in this hole. You build a sled, but it doesn't really do anything. I mean, you can move it around, but it doesn't do anything after that. I'm defying physics of this as well. You know what? This is LEGO. Who cares? This makes the silliest franchise in cinema history into an even sillier franchise in cinema history. Wait, what? In a video. This makes a silly sci-fi film even sillier. again, if people aren't going to shut the hell up about The Last Jedi over a year later, I'm not going to shut the hell up about them not shutting the hell up. Is it hypocritical? Absolutely. But you know what? They're the biggest hypocrites in the world as well. I still don't get it though. How does The Last Jedi just ruin everything? How does it go? How does it completely destroy everything that was set up? It's like how do we work that? How does it not set up? How does it destroy everything from the original trilogy? How does that work? It doesn't even have all of the characters in it. So how do you do that? I would imagine that what they are actually referring to is Luke, but Luke isn't the entirety of The Last Jedi or the original trilogy. And very often it always just seems to be because of that scene where he attempted to kill Ben Solo, despite a few things. Number one, he almost killed Darth Vader in a fit of rage, and he stopped himself. Here, he almost killed Ben Solo, and he stopped himself. Secondly, and I'll say this time and time again, he sensed the dark side in Ben Solo. Sometimes, as much as you don't want to, it's one life for an entire galaxy. Sacrifices, child or not, and he's not exactly a child, he doesn't really look much different to how he does now. Sacrifices have to be made. You're sacrificing one life for an entire galaxy. So, what's the problem? Because other than that, I can't see any difference in Luke's character. Again, I don't know how many times I've said this now. I'll say it again. Luke is the mopiest, whiniest, and argumentative character in the entire original trilogy. He is, to me anyway, the worst part of the original trilogy. He's fine. I don't dislike Luke. I think I still like Luke. But he is, compared to everyone else around him, the worst part of the original trilogy. And, you know, this is somebody who not only nearly killed his father in a fit of rage, he kills small animals for fun. So, are we forgetting this? Like father, like son. Anakin was much worse, but like father, like son. And, you know, when you've gone through all of that in the original trilogy, and to have it all gone in just a few seconds in one night, after everything you went through, I would say that it makes perfect sense that he wanted to go into exile. And then let's not forget, Yoda did that as well. Yoda went into exile, and his words were, "Failed, I have." He went into exile because he failed. So if the wisest of all Jedi can do that, why shouldn't Luke? I just don't get it. What is the problem? It's like the issue with Snoke having no backstory. But again, his name is more backstory than the Emperor had in Return of the Jedi. And the prequels still don't really elaborate on much. The prequels tell us his name is Palpatine, he's from Naboo, and they show how he became Emperor. But we still don't know exactly where he came from. We have the story of Darth Plagueis, which only implies rather than tells, and this is that really annoying part. Right, if you got to make these platforms, you need a dark side character to do it. But depth perception is really awkward, and the ceiling is really low. And if you slide down, you can't just simply slide down the middle and then land on the next platform. It for some reason doesn't let you, so you then have to jump all the way back up and make these. You have to slide all the way down, jump all the way back up, and these jumps are so awkward to make. You got to try and not do the double jump when you land on the ground. And the camera just does not work with you here at all. And I'm never actually sure where the ice ends. Like, I was able to walk up there perfectly fine. Look at these guys and their carrots. Yeah, I mean, Darth Plagueis, it's only implied rather than told. One can easily say it's a Sith legend. So how do we know that Palpatine is talking about himself being the apprentice that killed Darth Plagueis? We had the expanded universe to elaborate on that. obviously they're now apparently non-canonical. That I don't get, you know. But in the end, again, I don't care, because the expanded universe is just that. It's expanded, but everything that's important is in the films, the core parts of Star Wars. Everything we need to know should be in the films. The expanded universe can just expand on what it wants. But we still don't know how Palpatine was discovered, how he was trained. We're just told that he might have killed his master, and it's never actually said to be him. That's the only backstory we get from him in the prequels. And again, Darth Maul has no backstory. Count Dooku, we're told that he was a Jedi. Okay, that's interesting. Why did he turn to the dark side? We're never told. Why didn't the Jedi do anything about it? We're never told. Who is Master Cypher Dyas? We're never told. Why does Grievous have a robotic body? What happened to him? We're never told. Who is Boba Fett? Well, the prequels elaborate... Yeah, I don't know what's happening with the screen tearing here. It did that for some reason. We give him backstory for Boba Fett in Attack of the Clones just for the sake of having it. There was really no need for that. But again, in the original trilogy, Boba Fett says 3 things, and they're all in one film. I did not... Okay, you can activate the lights. I never even noticed that. We're never told who he is. In Empire Strikes Back, we're never even told his name. His name's in the credits, but we're never told his actual name in the film. You know, the credits are the film, but you know what I mean. Right, I could go and build all of these blocks, or I could just say, I have a bounty hunter now. Let's do it this way. It's much faster when you can do it this way. Just about make it up thanks to Vader. I think I should have just gone to the bit of the sticky out part of the Millennium Falcon. Anyway, what else could I rant about? The fact that people are giving up on the franchise after one film and they claim to be hardcore fans, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Don't offer any advice. Don't offer any encouragement, words of wisdom, constructive criticism on, you know, if you love this franchise so much, why aren't you trying to help fix it? You know, surely that is what, if you're the fan you claim to be, that's what you should be trying to do. Rather than just, this franchise is dead now because this one movie sucked. Even though I had no issues with any of these things in the previous movies. Yeah, the worm creature breathed in space. Yeah, the Emperor, Darth Maul, Grievous, they never had any backstory. Yeah, all Luke did was whine a lot. Yeah, every character in Star Wars is good at everything. But only now are there problems, and there's still not problems in the other ones. And I'm starting to sound like Donald Trump, and I don't want to do that. It's so utterly stupid. No. Alright, well now we're going to go back in time. So by the power of editing, eventually... I'm not sure when I did it exactly. There you are. Right. Switching characters. There's a lot less things here. There's no score multiplier. We're now heading into Falcon Flight. So this was the very first level that I did in free play mode. And this part is still an absolute pain. But it's a lot easier to do without the Millennium Falcon, because the Y-Wing, and just about every other vehicle, will actually aim at the right thing. And yeah, they hide that power brick right there. It's so much easier to shoot everything in here. You're still going to get blown up a lot, but it's a lot easier to shoot everything around here. The asteroid section, on the other hand, is still an absolute pain. Obviously, because I don't have the multiplier, I'm not invincible during this section. So I can still die, and I'll still die. I still lose my studs. So it's back to square one. But we're not going to be here for too long. And we do actually get to see the asteroid worm, sort of. We get to see Meg. Shut up, Meg. How come I never get any lines in these things? How is it that destroying... But what are these smaller ships anyway? Because they look like the rebel ships from Return of the Jedi. So are they rebellion ships? Are we destroying the cannons to let the rebel ships pass? Because it makes no sense if destroying the cannons on the Star Destroyers makes the Imperial ship makes the smaller Imperial ships then leave. Like, that makes no sense. And yeah, the game does tend to freeze a bit when you're making that transition. So several mini-kits in this level have changed location. Certain ones that were floating around in space no longer are. Certain ones that you had to use the torpedoes in the ground for are no longer there. Well, they are there. I can't remember which way around it is now. I think it's that they are there, replacing the ones that were just floating around in space. So you're going to want to try and get as many torpedoes as possible, and this one is a real nuisance. There I go. At least I didn't close anything. See, again, some of these remain permanently open. Others don't. Right, you need a tow cable for this. And unfortunately, every time you want to... And the craters make this a real nightmare. Every time you try and pick it up, because it's the same button, you're going to fire a torpedo. So let's just get rid of it. But this part is a nuisance. Because of all the What happened there? Trying to get this bomb around the craters. Remember when it was going over the gaps in Hoth Battle? It doesn't happen anymore. It's like, hello? We're in a ship. Can't we just fly this thing upwards a bit? Like, why can we fall into pits in Hoth Battle when we're in a flying vehicle? It clipped through that part of it clipped through the rock. Why can't it go over the crater? Come on. No, so close. It went over it. And that's one. There's another one on the other side. There's nowhere near as many craters against this one, thankfully. But still awkward to try and maneuver yourself into the right position. You spin me right round, baby, right round. Get it! Get it! Get it! Oh my god! Go! Get in there! It's a good thing that nothing else blows up this bomb. If it falls in the crater, if for some reason will, but not anywhere else. There we go. Woo! Wish I could just shoot them or fire my torpedoes at them. Why can't I do that? Again, I still don't know how these asteroids work. In LEGO Star Wars 2, every time you shoot it, you got studs. Every time you shot another section, you got more studs. Here, I have no idea what you're supposed to shoot. And that includes the torpedoes as well. I don't know whereabouts they're supposed to come out. So weird seeing 12,000 when you're halfway through a level, rather than like the first few seconds. Come on, we're almost there. Just break through these things. Eventually. I mean, some of them give you studs. Right, part 2. Technically part 3. Part 2 of the asteroid field. But the odds of surviving an asteroid field are 2 to 1. Well, although when I'm playing this game, it does feel like the original number. Which I can't remember what that is. Just, look, never tell me the odds. I don't remember what number it was that 3PS said with the odds of surviving an asteroid field. It's like the odds of getting these so-called phony Star Wars, phony Star Wars fans to shut up. It's a very, very low odds that it's ever going to happen. Another wall. You're going to have to backtrack because of the other wall, but the wall of rocks is on the other side. But you're going to need even more of these. What happened there? Oh, I can destroy that one from the back, but what happened to the other one? You're going to need to backtrack a few times because there are other things that we need to blow up. 3, I think, in total. Each one's got a mini kit. So, are you going to work this time? Somebody's sneezing next door, I can hear it. They're very thin walls. Very thin. So that's one. So these things only gave you studs in LEGO Star Wars 2. I think what it was is there was just a few more mini kits floating around in space. But they moved them and they're over here and it didn't even hit anything. Oh no, it did. It did. I see the studs now. So this is where I try going in here. Hey, you're not handicapped. I've already said, is it vertigo? It's a real medical condition. So we're inside Meg's stomach now. The small, the evil monkeys aren't floating around anywhere. But again, look at this thing. It is breathing in space. There is no food or anything, no oxygen. Why can this breathe in space, but not Leia? What is the difference? This thing has been breathing in space since the 2nd film, and people are now only complaining it in the 9th film? When we've also had a whole bunch... How many times do we see characters breathing in the hangar bays in the Clone Wars? Haven't we had an episode of Star Wars Rebels that also showed a character pulling themselves to the ship from the outside? This is a series about flashy space battles and magical people fighting with laser swords. Who cares how realistic it is? It's the least realistic franchise ever. Seriously, there are episodes of The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy that are more realistic than Star Wars. Why are we taking this so seriously? It's the least serious franchise. The reason I'm ranting about this is because people are starting to make a load of videos on it again. Unfortunately, you click on one and then it keeps showing up in your recommended videos about all the others. It's like, please, stop. Just stop. I can't take this anymore because I know, in the end, it's such a small number of loudmouths because most people aren't on the internet. Most people aren't taking part in these polls. Most people are casual moviegoers. That's what it is. Most people are casual moviegoers. They don't care about everything else in the franchise. They're going in there to see flashy space battles, lightsaber fights, and most importantly, good acting and stunning visuals. The things that made Star Wars in the first place. And they got that and then some. Why are we ignoring the acting? We're either ignoring it or we're for some reason acting like it's terrible. The Last Jedi has some of the best acting of any Star Wars film. All of the modern films do. The acting in all 4 films. The Force Awakens, Rogue One, Solo. It is great stuff. The visuals are, well, you know, obviously we're in the 2010s now. It's going to be good. And there are people that just say, terrible acting, terrible effects. What are you watching? Because it is not Star Wars that you are watching. It's one thing to not like the film, but don't just make up a load of crap just for the sake of shitting on the film. I know I go back and forth with what language I use, but I don't care. It's just so stupid. And so utterly annoying, and we're still doing it after a year. Again, why are you deliberately trying to kill the franchise and then complaining that it's dead? And I still don't get this whole Disney is killing Star. Disney don't make it. We were able to work this out with Fox for how many years? It's the same thing. Fox distributed Star Wars, both the originals and the prequels. That's how many years? It's like that's like almost 40 years, like 35 years or something like that. They were distributing Star Wars. So how are we able to work this out for 35 years, but we're suddenly, the moment it's given to Disney, people are somehow unable to work out that Disney distributes it? The very first thing we see in all of these films is the Lucasfilm logo. Lucasfilm makes Star Wars. And even then, directors, many of the writers, I imagine, the actors, they're not Lucasfilm, they're just people. Far more people, far closer to people than many of these so-called fans are. And we'll just end this by saying it's an alien this franchise contains thousands of aliens and droids. If you have an issue with diversity in it, firstly, you've clearly never watched any Star Wars film, and secondly, wow, you're an idiot. You are an absolute idiot. Because you have an issue with women and black people, and yes, Hutts, droids, Jawas, sand people. Take issue with that. You never had any issue with Billy D. Williams or Carrie Fisher, but John Boyega and Daisy Ridley? No, and clearly a lot of you just don't know that these are characters. You actually seem to think that they're real. It's like when they're complaining that they've killed off Leia, which firstly The Last Jedi didn't, and secondly Carrie Fisher's dead. That is pretty much all the evidence I need to show that you actually think that these characters are real. It's not. It's a science fiction film. Okay, rant over. So now I got that score multiplier by 4, I can go back and do everything else in free play mode. And then we're going to move on. So next up, we're going into Dagobah. So I will see you guys then. No, I won't. I can't anyway because I'm doing this in front of a PC monitor.